Man, this is one of those times in history, isn't it, where you wake up every single day and the world has changed once again. This is the story. I'm Dan Haggerty. I'm in a tie tonight. Let's not make a big deal about it. I'm also a safe 6 feet away from everybody who I work with, and I think you should be as well. If you're working from home tonight, I know so many of you are. Thanks for being with us. It is a scary time, an anxious time, a very confusing time. If you're feeling the first two, good, because that actually means you're taking this seriously. The last one, the confusing bit, we're going to work on that together. So if you can't stop thinking about COVID-19, if you have a lot of questions you can't seem to find answers to, let us try to help. All right, send me an email, find us on Instagram or Twitter, use the hashtag #HeyDan. We're going to get through this together, even if we have to do it from separate rooms. And we're going to get started tonight with our quote of the day. This one's from Governor Brown in one of her 2 press conferences today. She said, quote, "It may seem like we're in the middle of this, but I want to convey in terms of impact, we're just at the beginning." Just minutes ago, we learned of 8 new cases of coronavirus in Oregon. That brings the total number to 47 cases here in our state. And just a few hours ago, the governor did what I think a lot of people thought she might do any minute, and that's use that executive power to shut down all of the bars and restaurants in the state starting tomorrow, just like we saw in California and Washington and a couple other states across the country. This means pretty much what you think it means. It means starting tomorrow, no eating out, no meeting up at the bar. Restaurants will only be allowed to do takeout orders or delivery orders. If they break the rules, it's serious. They could face criminal charges. She's also canceling events of 25 people or more.
In a global pandemic, days are like weeks, and every single hour changes. The actions we take today will save lives. I know Oregonians are some of the most resourceful people in the country. And in times of crisis, we come together and support each other. I'm asking you to do that now. Isolation from our friends and neighbors is the only way to flatten the curve of transmission and get Oregon through to the other side.
Okay, I'll say it. Stand a little close to the sign language guy. 6 feet, Governor, 6 feet. Now, the order will last for at least 4 weeks. Some of you have asked if this applies to things like grocery stores and pharmacies or banks. It does not. The governor also stressed something that we stressed a lot on the story last week. Stop hoarding toilet paper. Please, only buy what you need. Think of it this way. Imagine having a baby and being unable to find baby wipes because people already bought all the baby wipes because they couldn't find toilet paper, all right? As for Washington, Governor Inslee made a similar decision over the weekend to shut down bars and restaurants, but we've been getting a lot of calls about many casinos that are still open, like A&E and Chinook Winds. Sheila wrote in saying, using the hashtag #HeyDan, rumors are circulating that events on tribal lands are exempt. Is this true in Oregon and Washington? Sheila's right, and those rumors are facts. A&E and Chinook Winds are not bound by state law. They're bound by federal law and tribal law, neither of which have ordered them to shut down. A&E said it's operating business as usual, except for limiting capacity at 250 people, postponing ticketed events, adding hand sanitizer throughout the building, and suspending employee business travel. So for now, you're free to gamble at your own risk. Just know you might be gambling more than money. And this is the perfect way, I think, to get in tonight's big story, the economic impact of a pandemic. You can look on Facebook, you look on social media, everybody is talking about it, telling you to stay inside. If not to protect yourself from COVID-19, then to protect your parents, or your grandparents, or your friends' grandparents, or the vulnerable neighbors and friends and family that we all have. But by taking these necessary steps to protect lives, we have to be honest with ourselves and understand that businesses will suffer. The people who own them, the people who work in them will suffer. So is there a way to support your immune system and support people whose jobs are literally on the line because of this pandemic? And the answer is yes. All right, off the top of our heads, you can order stuff from them online, right? Do that. You can buy gift cards. You could buy some of their merch. You all have a favorite bar or restaurant. Buy one of those T-shirts you've been eyeballing behind the counter for all these years. A lot of restaurants are still doing delivery or pickup services, so take advantage of those options if you can. Now, that could help ease some of the burden, but certainly not all. There are already a lot of stories of layoffs as businesses are struggling to adapt to this crazy reality. We had a chance to ask Senator Merkley whether leaders are considering some kind of 2008-style economic stimulus.
The source of the economic turndown is very different from 2008, 2009, when it was triggered by predatory mortgages and a Wall Street casino. So well, we can start by looking at the things that worked well in that recession, but this is a different cause. I have a feeling it will be a different set of remedies, and we're just beginning to put those ideas on the table.
All right, so they're just starting. I know you're looking for specifics. Not a lot of specifics there, but economic stimulus is on the table, so that's a good thing. The Senate is also waiting to vote on a House emergency coronavirus bill. It includes 2 weeks paid sick leave and up to 3 months of paid family and medical leave. But it's being held up right now by one member of Congress, Republican Louis Gohmert from Texas. He wants the House to read all of the corrections to the bill before voting on it and sending it to the Senate. This crisis has also demonstrated the vital role that local government plays right here in our lives. Okay, Mayor Wheeler yesterday tweeted, in addition to focusing on public health, they have a team focusing on the economic impact of the virus as well. That team that they have there is made up of the mayor's office, members of Prosper Portland, and eventually members of the local business community. And there is talk of some kind of local economic stimulus. Now, if you have any other questions about this, we can pass them on to the people who have the best answers. So send us an email, message me on Facebook, look us up on Twitter, use the hashtag #HeyDan. And trust me, we read every single question that you send in. For the time being, we've been shoving them all over to Kristen Severance and a team of people you're working with to help them get answered.
Right, working with local health experts, trying to answer as many questions as possible. One I've seen several times, is it safe to order from restaurants through Grubhub or DoorDash? Experts say your food is probably safe unless someone sneezed on it, which is disgusting, but that's some of the things we have to think about right now. While your food is safe, you do have to think about the person dropping off the delivery. Have they been exposed? Experts say don't do a handoff, have them drop it at the door, wipe down the bags, and then wash your hands after you open the box of food. All right, next question. If kids are in the lowest risk group, why are schools being closed? So yes, kids are in that low risk group, but they can pass the coronavirus to their parents. Maybe their parents are still working. Maybe they pass it on to their grandparents. So it's really about, limiting exposure.
I do want to clarify here. When we say at risk, they're not at a lower risk of getting it. They're at a lower risk of having severe symptoms.
Exactly.
Right.
That's a great point. Next question. Should I really stay away from my grandkids right now? Do you remember reading this?
I do. This made me sad a little bit.
This is from Terry Simon. She's 71 years old. She has 5 grandkids. The doctors we checked with said yes. You should FaceTime, you should Skype, but now is not the time, to put yourself at risk. Next, I've heard about both 3 feet and 6 feet when it comes to social distancing. Which one is it? All right, so according to the World Health Organization, you can get coronavirus, through droplets. Those droplets travel 3 to 6 feet. So that's why you're hearing that 3 number and that 6 number. You want to be at least 6 feet away from someone, which is why when you see us in the studio, we are at least 6 feet apart.
And to be clear, I know most people aren't walking around with measuring sticks or anything like that. The most important thing is that you're conscious of this. You're thinking of it, and that's how you're interacting with people right now.
All right, our last question. Can I still have a small event of, say, 6 belly dancers in a crowd of maybe 20 people? Can that still happen?
Very Portland question, by the way. I like that.
Yeah, very Portland question. But the CDC is recommending no more than 10 people. So at 26 people, no, you're going to want to cancel that event. It's really just about, lowering the risk to everyone else.
Absolutely. Kristen, thank you so much. And again, this is what, you probably had tenfold as many questions that have come in. So we're going to keep working to answer them. Keep those questions coming, because I know that there's a lot of uncertainty and a lot of questions people have. Use the hashtag #HeyDan. Kristen, thank you.
You bet.
Okay, let's take a minute and talk about this. We've all seen this. These are those empty store shelves after a bunch of panicked shopping last week and over the weekend. Now, just to emphasize for people who may be just tuning in here, don't do that, all right? Please don't do that. Only buy what you need. If we continue to buy only what we need, then there will be enough to go around. But right now, grocery stores are trying to restock shelves to keep up with all of this. Some of them are hiring more workers. The Trader Joe's near my house is only staying open for a few hours a day. Some people don't want to risk going to the grocery store. They're those high-risk people. Okay, but delivery services, they're backed up too. Devin Haskins talked with some people in those high-risk groups who are just trying to get some groceries.
I'm sure you've seen pictures like these, store shelves empty where something as simple as toilet paper is gone, and then there are the lines to get into the store before it even opens. It's supply and demand, and right now the demand is greater than the supply.
The easiest words are absolutely crazy.
Sean Jarrett is the store manager at Chuck's Produce in Vancouver. It's a small chain of 2 stores. They're trying their best to keep up.
Sales were way above what we ever thought they would be for the end of last week, and Sunday yesterday we had people down the aisles. and that's not, Sundays are busy for us, they're not that busy.
The demand is so big, Chuck's and other grocery stores say their delivery trucks are getting pushed back at least a day. And some, like Cynthia Thayer,
right now I am scared to go out, frankly.
are among the many that have a compromised immune system and need to stay away from public areas like a grocery store.
We have 2 weeks of food in the house from our earthquake survival kit and from some pre-planning. But fresh foods and especially fresh meat, fresh vegetables would be fantastic.
Instead, she relies on delivery service like Amazon Prime. Even their promised 2-hour delivery is falling behind.
With Amazon, they didn't give me any date. With New Season's Instacart, I can get something on Thursday, and today is Monday.
Veronica Gaston lives in Grand Ronde. She has cancer and recently tried to have groceries delivered to her house, but they don't serve her area. So she called a local Safeway and talked to a manager that did her grocery shopping for her.
And I was in and out of that Safeway within 5 minutes, which I think is fabulous that they did that for me.
Whether it's online or in stores, the demand to meet the needs of every shopper is just too high. Devin Haskins, KGW News.
When the story continues.
I just have a lot of friends that are really scared right now.
Why the governor's ban on eating out was just what some restaurants wanted to hear. And anybody who says staying home all day is easy clearly doesn't have kids. We're going to show you how Oregon schools are trying to make a chaotic time just a little bit easier.
Hi, I'm Max Brooks. I'm 47 years old. This is my dad, Mel Brooks. Hey, Dad. He's 93. If I get the coronavirus, I'll probably be okay. But if I give it to him, he could give it to Carl Reiner, who could give it to Dick Van Dyke, and before I know it, I've wiped out a whole generation of comedic legends. When it comes to coronavirus, I have to think about who I can infect, and so should you. So practice social distancing. Avoid crowds, wash your hands, keep 6 feet away from people, and if you've got the option to stay home, just stay home. Do your part, don't be a spreader. Right, Dad? I'm going. Love you.
If you're one of those people struggling with the impact this has had on your personal life, I get it. After all, it would be nice to get together with friends, grab a beer, grab a drink, take them to dinner, something like that, anything to get our mind off of it, but that's not an option. So I think this might be worth your time if you're thinking that way. New York Times columnist Charlie Warzel published an opinion this weekend called "Please Don't Go to Brunch Today." He called it selfish to gather in groups. A few hours after he published it, he tweeted, "This column has set a record for the number of emails received telling me I need to resign." I think it's a perfect example of that struggle that we all feel to support local businesses and our friends who work in the service industry while doing what we have to do to keep this virus from spiking and overwhelming this country. We talked about the ways that you can help support the local economy a little earlier in the show, but if you're at home right now because the governor closed your bar earlier today and now you don't have a place to go to work, maybe try this. The USBG National Charity Foundation created a bartender emergency assistance program to help people in the service industry. Now you have to pass certain criteria to be eligible for this to help you out, but it might be worth a look for you, so please check it out. And if you see something that's ever worth our time or worth everybody else's time, please use the hashtag HeyDan. Email works too. Now here's the thing, even if you wanted to go to brunch tomorrow, well, you can. If you're just turning on your TV, you probably already know that the governor, she signed this executive order banning eating out at restaurants or drinking at bars for the next 4 weeks at least. You can only get takeout or delivery, that's it, no dining in. And believe it or not, Kaylee Chalmers actually talked to some service workers who are excited to hear this news.
Right now I'm moving all these chairs to the side of the room so that customers can't sit in them. We've been cleaning, sanitizing. I mean, every day seems like a new adventure.
An adventure Red Sauce Pizza owner Chardell Dews never imagined she'd be taking.
I've gone through cases and cases of these gloves I'm about to
3 days ago, Dews voluntarily closed the dining area of her restaurant, staying open only for delivery and takeout.
Anything the customer would like us to do to minimize contact, I'm all about it.
It's a move restaurants and bars across Oregon made by choice.
We're doing takeout.
This morning in Washington, Governor Inslee ordered all restaurants and bars to close their dining areas, allowing only for takeout and delivery. It was a move that took some, like Little Conejo co-owner Michael Dines, by surprise.
It was just tough news. Everybody's really scared, and myself included.
Yesterday, more than 100 Oregon chefs and restaurateurs signed an open letter to Governor Brown asking that she close all Oregon restaurants and bars, too. They worried by staying open they would be putting customers at risk, and a mandatory closure would mean they could get some much-needed assistance.
Helps them with insurance claims. It helps them move forward.
This afternoon, Brown announced, like Washington, Oregon would be shutting down all restaurants and bars, allowing only for takeout and delivery. The announcement followed President Trump's recommendation that all Americans, including those young and healthy, avoid gatherings of 10 or more people and avoid bars and restaurants. It's a change many are ready to make, knowing more changes are likely to come.
You know, the plan is changing by the hours because the reality is changing by the hour.
I just have a lot of friends that are really scared right now.
But the restaurant community is doing what it can to keep its customers safe and its business afloat any way it can.
If we can look back on this and, oh, we did this and we didn't really need to, great.
Schools in both Oregon and Washington have shut down because of the coronavirus. So what do parents need to know? We've compiled some information from a handful of the bigger districts in our area. First, we go to Portland Public Schools, where the plan is to start school up for kids again on April 1st. It's got breakfast and lunch covered for students between tomorrow and March 20th and March 30th through 31st. Meals can be picked up between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. at more than a dozen schools. District officials want to stress they can't have volunteers showing up at these meal sites. Only families picking up food are allowed. For more details, check out the PPS website. And that website is also where you'll be able to find some learning materials. For now, the district suggests parents read with your young kids. Some teachers even sent out some printed materials with students. But if your child did not get any printed materials, you can pick some of those up March 17th. Tomorrow, or March 19th, which is Thursday, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at one of the meal pickup sites. And by the way, on the PPS website, there are a number of virtual learning opportunities separated out by grade level. Now to Salem-Keizer Public Schools. Students there are covered for both breakfast and lunch with grab-and-go bags. They're available Monday through Friday during the emergency school closure and can be picked up between 11 a.m. and 12:30 p.m. at more than 30 schools. You can check the district's website for more specific information if you want. It's also got other really good community resources for food. As for distance learning, the district is working on a way to help parents keep their kids occupied and learning. But there won't be any true distance learning available where assignments are graded, say. This is the case for many other school districts, too, including Portland Public. Salem-Keizer School District says it is nearly impossible to make distance learning equitable. In fact, the district sent us this statement from the Oregon Department of Education. In part, it says at this time, Oregon does not have the statewide capacity, infrastructure, or expertise to equitably move to online learning in the event of prolonged school closures. Now to the Beaverton School District, where students can get grab-and-go breakfast and lunch today through March 20th, as well as March 30th through the 31st. Meals can be picked up from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. at more than a dozen schools. The note here is that the student must be present to get the food. And in regards to distance learning, the district has a website where teachers have provided suggested lessons and activities that are organized by grade level. And up in Vancouver, students can get sack lunches beginning today. Those meals will be provided from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at a number of schools. For a complete list of those schools, you can go to Vancouver Public Schools website. As for distance learning, the district has not addressed it specifically. And if your district is the same way and hasn't addressed distance learning, there are a number of options online. One of them is through Scholastic. It's Scholastic Learn at Home. The company announced it's offering daily free lessons for kids who have to stay home. You can see lots of subjects from sound and music to bones. As for childcare options in Oregon, multiple school districts mentioned 211 as an option. You can call, text, or email to find a good childcare option in your area.
I'm sure you've heard and seen the news about hotels really feeling the pain of cancellations right now because nobody's traveling or staying anywhere, but so are vacation rentals, places like Airbnb and Vrbo. There are thousands of property owners and managers in Oregon and Washington who've seen reservations dry up. Kyle Laboshi looked at what these small business owners are losing.
These are tough times in the travel industry, and not just for airlines and hotel chains. Owners and managers of vacation rentals listed on Airbnb and Vrbo have seen bookings wiped out due to concerns over coronavirus.
Some owners will probably have to close their operations because of this.
Becky Burnett, who owns one property and manages 4 others, has seen 90% of her reservations canceled in March and April. These are anxious times.
I think it's going to be difficult to watch cancellations and be unsure if bookings are still going to be coming through.
Unlike hotel chains, most short-term rentals are owned by individuals. They're small businesses. They will have a tough time withstanding a prolonged slump.
Yeah, there's a big question mark at this point of how my business is going to be affected in the next couple of months.
Another consideration, the health of property owners. Jill Palamountain normally rents space in her Northeast Portland home on Airbnb.
All of our bookings got canceled, and we've decided to close for a couple of months just because we share space and we want to be safe.
Property hosts say despite losses, they're working to accommodate all the last-minute changes.
2 of the largest short-term rental platforms are offering different policies. Airbnb is offering guests full refunds for cancellations. Vrbo is encouraging refunds, but not requiring it.
That's created some frustration among travelers who've complained on social media about the difficulty getting a refund from Vrbo. The company didn't respond for comment. Property owners hope these challenging times will pass, assuming they can still pay the mortgage while they wait.
I believe that this will all turn around at some point, and we'll all be back in business just like the rest of the world.
Kyle Laboshi, KGW News.
All right, thanks to everybody who's been writing in using the hashtag #HeyDan. We've been showing you some of our personal workspaces. A lot of my colleagues, the people who work on the story here, are at home doing so today. Some of you at home sharing your personal home workspaces for the time being. It took me a second to notice a little kitty cat on the left. I'm glad you got some company and a decent view. Also want to read some comments that came in today. This one, "Hey Dan, will there be some student loan forgiveness specifically for medical degrees?" Look, these are the questions that we're looking to answer for you. Keep them coming. I don't know off the top of my head, but we'll look into it. Also, Rashana saying, "Very confused why the federal government says social distancing under 10 people, and Oregon says under 25. That's just the way that the feds and local state governments kind of do things. We get our own say, they have their say. Right now, that's what we're recommending, but I think you get the gist, right? Big groups, not really a great thing. Also, "Hey Dan, I'm writing on behalf of my brothers and sisters in the retail food stores. I work for a large retailer, and every day I put my health and my family's health on the line. I just want people to remember this when they shop. Keep that in mind. Be courteous, be nice. These people are there trying to help us out, stock the shelves, getting you everything that you need. We're hoping to give you everything that you need here on the story, so thanks for being a part of it. We got Laurel Porter and Kristen Severance anchoring the news from 6:30 to 7:30, but for now, that's the story.